The Mathematical Voice Edition. Parallel Bible. Dallas James, Royal Levitical Priesthood. February 2026. Part 1. The Question, midnight to 1:30. Slow, deliberate pace. Let the question land. What if the Bible could rewrite itself? Not through human interpretation, not through artificial intelligence, not through committee decisions or denominational politics, but through the mathematics that already exist inside the text itself. For over 30 years, I have worked with these texts. I translated the Urim Thummim version from the original Hebrew and Greek. I know every verse. I know where the translators before me made choices, and I know where I made mine. And after 3 decades, I thought I knew what these words could do. I was wrong, because when I ran the full corpus through Shield Protocol 10.3, a statistical analysis framework that tests for non-random patterns, the numbers revealed a vocabulary that was always there, hidden in the data. Words the text wanted to say, but no translator had ever let it. Today I'm going to show you what the mathematics found, and I'm going to let you read it for yourself. Part 2. What the engine did, 1:30 to 4 o'clock. Shift to instructional tone. Measured, clear. Here's what happened. We took the entire Urim Thummim version, 32,356 verses across 52 books, and we ran every verse through a statistical engine. The engine uses something called false discovery rate correction, which is the gold standard in scientific research for separating real signals from noise. The engine found that certain words carry statistically significant weight, not theologically significant, mathematically significant. Words like covenant, consecrated, priestly, and sacred appear in patterns that depart from random chance by margins that are off the charts. So we built a deterministic engine. No randomness, no AI generation, no human editorial judgment. The engine follows a simple rule, where the FDR markers identify a statistically significant pattern. Replace the existing vocabulary with a word the mathematics select. Where no pattern exists, leave the text exactly as it is. The result is the Mathematical Voice Edition. Out of 32,000 verses, the engine modified 4,015, 12.4% of the entire corpus. The other 87.6% remains identical to the UTV. And the word the mathematics chose, most often, covenant. It appears 1,880 times. Nearly half of all modified verses contain that single word. The mathematics are telling us something about what this text is fundamentally about. Part 3. Live examples, 4 to 7 o'clock. Reading voice. Slow, reverent for UTV. Slightly more weight on MVE readings. Pause between each pair. Let me read you some of these side by side. Romans. The UTV says, the righteousness of Elohim, which is by faith. The mathematical voice says, the covenant faithfulness of Elohim, which is by faith. That single change, from righteousness to covenant faithfulness, is not a theological opinion. It is a mathematical conclusion. The engine detected that in every verse carrying the covenant keeper marker, the word righteousness functions as a covenant concept, not an abstract moral quality. The statistics made the implicit explicit. Leviticus. The UTV says, the priest that is anointed. The mathematical voice says, the consecrated priestly one that is anointed. Leviticus has the highest modification rate in the Torah, 27.1%, nearly 1 in 3 verses. The priesthood marker fires continuously through the sacrificial code, and the engine responds by making the priestly vocabulary explicit where English translations have historically compressed it. Ruth. The UTV says, why have I found favor in your eyes? The mathematical voice says, why have I found sacred favor in your eyes? One word, sacred. But that word changes everything about the Ruth and Boaz narrative. The favor Ruth receives is not ordinary human kindness. The mathematics identify it as carrying the SAM-positive marker, spirit-attested meaning. The engine says, this favor is holy. Enoch. 30.3% modification rate in 1st Enoch, the highest of any book. The engine reads Enoch's angelology and cosmology as saturated with covenant vocabulary that no translator has ever surfaced. The mathematics say Enoch is not peripheral to the canon, it is mathematically central. Part 4. Why not human or AI? 7 to 8:30. Firm, direct. This is the defense. Now I know the question you're asking. How is this different from a human scholar just choosing different words? 3 reasons. First, the engine is deterministic. Run it 1,000 times, you get the same output 1,000 times. There is no randomness, no judgment calls, no editorial conferences. The same input always produces the same output. Second, the vocabulary is constrained. The engine can only use words that appear in the FDR-validated vocabulary, words that survived rigorous statistical testing. It cannot invent new theological concepts. It can only surface what is already statistically present in the data. Third, 87.6% of the text is untouched. A human editor would change far more. An AI model would rewrite everything. This engine leaves the vast majority alone and only speaks where the numbers compel it to. That restraint is the signature of mathematical rather than human or machine authorship. Part 5. The Parallel Bible, 8:30 to 9:30. Warmer tone. Product announcement. The Mathematical Voice Edition Parallel Bible presents every verse in 2 columns. Left column, the Urim Thummim version, exactly as I translated it. Right column, the Mathematical Voice Edition, exactly as the engine rendered it. Every modified verse is highlighted in gold. Every shield marker is annotated. Every tier classification is visible. 52 books, 32,356 verses. You can read them side by side and see exactly what the mathematics changed, and more importantly, what they did not change. This is not a new translation. This is a mathematical commentary on an existing translation. It is the text reading itself through the lens of its own statistics. And it is available now. Part 6, closing 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Slow. Final. Let the silence carry. For 30 years, I translated these words. I chose each one carefully. And then the mathematics looked at what I had built and said, here is what was always underneath. Here is the covenant language you were reaching for. Here is the priestly vocabulary the Hebrew demanded. Here is the sacred dimension your English almost captured. The mathematics did not contradict the translation. They completed it. When the numbers speak, listen.